So when I first began my artistic journey, I had limited art supplies, watercolor paints, some drawing pencils, and a watercolor pad. Then, when I studied fine arts, lots of new supplies were added, and even since then, fast forward 40 more years, getting back into practicing art and learning and exploring new techniques and styles, my art supplies have definitely multiplied. So I really love a good variety of art papers. So I've got, here's some tracing paper, which is really thin, some tea bag paper, vellum paper, some Bristol board. That's great for printing, some mixed media, printing, drawing, paints, and then of course watercolor, something that I use a lot. This is a really large pad. I actually even cut this up and make it into small or watercolor books like this. Make my own watercolor pads. Super fun. Another thing that I use a lot are pencils. So there's a lot of variety of pencils. There's these drawing pencils. Got all kinds of drawing pencils in here. Some good Prismacolor ones. And these are Stabilo. Now they do come in different colors. That's a white one, a black one. This one's a brown one. These are water soluble, but they're really, really dark. So they really work really well, and you can use them with water to make them spread or use them at the end. And then I've got some great graphite that are also water soluble. And then this is a big fat Stabilo. And then mechanical pencils. Who knew that I would ever like mechanical pencils, but these are great pencils to have if you have some smaller sketchbooks that you want to travel with, and I'd like to use those. And then even this, another kind of just graphite pencil, makes awesome marks. Gouache paints. It's another thing that I've added to my repertoire. I use them with watercolors. They're nice and opaque. There's some really good Daniel Smith ones, and Winsor and Newton as well. I also have soft pastels. These are the ones that I actually made with pigments, and they're pretty fun. This one's pretty intense. I just made this one yesterday, and I love the way it spreads with water. It works really, really great. Brush soap. Haven't used this in years. So this brush cleaner, this is a large one. You can also buy them smaller. This is like soap, and you take your dirty paintbrush and you just rub it on there with water, and it really does a great job of cleaning them. So it also preserves your paintbrushes. Works with oil paint, watercolor, acrylic, and stains. Yeah, and they sell it in a smaller container also, like this. The difference. Printing blocks. Well, when I went to college, this is the kind of lino that I have. They are really, really hard. They're hard on your hands. They're hard to carve, but they do make great prints. I love the new kind of like a giant, those giant white erasers. This is kind of what this is like. Here's one that I've created that I reuse, and I actually use this to make watercolors. Even though it's this size, I've done something like this with this printing block, but that's for another lesson that I'll share with you. So other good items, I'm not sure we had these back in the day, clear gesso. So it looks white, but when it dries it's clear, so you can put it on watercolor paper. You can use it to kind of seal in water soluble things if you don't want them to move around. You can also get it in black, and of course in the classic white as well. Paintbrushes. These are watercolor brushes, all kinds of different shapes for different techniques. And you don't ever want to use your watercolor brushes for any other kind of paint. They are made to hold a lot of water, and they are quite soft, but you still want to make sure that they have a nice bounce back when you're using them. Another kind of brush are these. These are called paint pushers. So yeah, they look like a paintbrush, but they are also made with that kind of a rubbery thing, and you actually can move paint around. I actually used it in this painting to spread the paint across the page. Okay. And another thing that's really cool are these little ceramic dishes. Now these are actually sold as soy sauce dipping bowls. See, they're very thin, and I use them on my table all the time. This actually has some green watercolor pigment in there, and I use them sometimes if I've got some other stuff just hanging around that I don't want to lose. Yeah, these are really great. You can buy them on Amazon. And another thing that I'm really into is encaustics. Encaustics are things like this. So this is resin and beeswax mixed together, and it comes granulated like this, and you melt it. And that's a whole other post because it's a challenging art form, but I really, really love it. And it's not an expensive art form. I also have these little encaustic blocks. And another thing, these are some drawing oils that you can use on paintings in encaustics as your last layer over watercolor. So they're a fairly new product. They're not inexpensive. These cost about $10 to $12 a piece, but they are absolutely beautiful product. And you can even see how rich the colors are right here. I do wear gloves when I use these, and they do smell quite strong. And of course, last but not least, all my pigment watercolors. So this is made from pigment that looks like this in powder form. And I mix it with gum arabic. I actually make my own gum arabic right here. I make it from powder. I add in some honey. It's a natural product and it works great. So these are just some of the stuff that I use on a consistent basis in my art studio.